excited for our first podcast of the series. It's Through the Branches, the Sylvania Chamber podcast. So I'm really excited. I'm Tiffany Bosch. I'm the president and CEO of the Sylvania Chamber, and I have two guests, one co-host and then a guest with me today. So Dustin, I'll let you introduce yourself.
It is very exciting to be here. I'm Dustin Dell, founder and CEO of Beyond the Horizon Consulting, and Dustin Dell Motivational Speaking as well. And I'm really excited to dig into your knowledge and your background you have and where you came from and where you've got to. So I'm not going to hold the mic up. I'm going to turn it over to our esteemed guest today.
Well, thanks for having me on your inaugural show. Brandon Fields. I am one of the three owners of Inside the Five Brewing.
Very cool.
And Brandon, for those who don't know you, and I'm sure it's very few, give us a little bit on your background also, where you started.
Grew up in the area, went to Sylvania schools, and then went to high school at St. John's Jesuit. Once I graduated, went to Michigan State University, played football there. Then was drafted by Miami Dolphins, played 9 years in the NFL. Then came back to the area. I mean, all my family's from here, all my wife's family's from here. So, once we wanted to settle down, start having kids and stuff, this is our home. So came back to Toledo.
Okay, and Sylvania's home.
Sylvania's
home.
Sylvania is home.
There's a difference.
I gotta plug that, Northwest
There
Ohio, but you live here in Sylvania, so we're really excited. Excited to have Inside the Five here. You've expanded rapidly, in my opinion. Tell us about your steps getting there and the progress you've had over the years.
It's definitely been a little crazy in terms of I don't think we've stopped expanding, quite honestly, because a lot of stuff was kind of behind the scenes we were doing before anybody knew. So our original location in downtown Sylvania will be 6 this coming Memorial Day. And we have our first expansion was downtown Perrysburg. That just turned 3 in November. And recently we just opened our 3rd location, actually not too far from us here, right on the corner of UT's campus. We're calling it the Field House. It is a tap room. By that, it is a 25,000 square foot building on 5 acres. So we'll have a very, very large outdoor area for our customers and families to come enjoy themselves. We do not have a kitchen at that location, but food trucks. The Northwest Toledo area has a fantastic food truck community, so we wanted to kind of bring them on board and be a part of kind of our journey and stuff. So every single day we have different food trucks to offer. All the beer that we serve there, we make ourselves, plus it is a full bar as well. So we have stuff other than just our beer for people to enjoy. With that expansion, we moved all of our production from downtown Sylvania to the Field House. We also added a canning line. So all the cans that you see in our stores and stores kind of across the community, we can ourselves. And kind of with that space being available in Sylvania, we are in process and going to be starting soon. So that is a large outdoor beer. Those plans are to our Sylvania location. So that those plans are in the works right now. So we'll be kind of adding kind of what is missing in this area is a nice outdoor area for people to enjoy when the weather's fantastic. So that's what we want to bring to various communities.
And before we started recording, we had a little bit of a conversation about your clientele, and you really do serve kind of all the generations, those who drink, those who don't drink. What was your vision going into having a brew pub?
The original vision is closer to what we just opened with the Field House, in terms of if you go in there, everything is open. There's just kind of a gate, a fence separating the brew system from patrons, but everything is out in the open. You can see everything going on, and having that relaxed atmosphere and feel. You can see the Field House right here. So our 2 locations. Food was a very big part of what we did when we first opened up. Just knowing the areas we were in, customer base that we were going to provide for, with downtown Sylvania. So we needed to start food right away. So those, they're brew pubs, but they have very much more of a restaurant type feel. You come in, you see the host, you get sat, server comes over, or if you're sitting at the bar, it's that full service atmosphere. Once you're done eating, you get up, you can go to the bar for other drinks and stuff. But we're looking to kind of turn that table over versus at the field house. You come in, we have a second floor there. You want to go up and sit on the couch for a second floor while you're waiting for some friends to come. Your friends get there, you go down to the table downstairs. It's nice outside, you go outside. It's that you can move around freely as you like, and it's if you want to stay 5 minutes or 5 hours, you have that ability. So.
Well, I was there. It's gorgeous. I mean, all your locations are, but it's massive. Before we get into all the leadership questions that we're all dying to know your answers to, how much can you produce? Like, what is the quantity you can produce more of from Sylvania now with the field house?
So we quadrupled what we can do one-time brewing. So we went from a 5-barrel system to a 20-barrel system. We can brew more in one day than we could in a week in Sylvania. And our total capacity is around 10,000 plus barrels of beer. For those that don't know, a barrel of beer is basically 2 kegs. It's 31 gallons. So every time we brew a batch, we're making close to 650, 700 gallons of beer at a time.
Wow.
So.
And all different
kinds. We've since we've been open, we've made close to 300 or a little over 300 different types of beer, and that's what I enjoy. That's the fun part of kind of tinkering with stuff, playing around with flavors, what works, what doesn't, what people enjoy, what I think is fantastic but nobody else likes. So some stuff is a home run off the bat. Other stuff is maybe it's almost there and tweak a little bit, and then other stuff it's kind of not going to do again or dump down the drain because it didn't turn out well. So
test.
Oh yeah.
Dustin, you got some leadership questions we'll
absolutely.
throw at you.
So I'm going to try not to nerd out when you start talking business and analytics and knowing your product. That gets me excited. So from a leadership standpoint, every business owner should know about their operations. And if they don't know, it makes it very difficult to operate. So what transferable skills did you take from your playing days into a leadership position with now running multiple locations, having people depend on you for their job? Talk about that a little bit and maybe what some of our local business owners can learn from that aspect.
Before I answer that directly, kind of a little bit of my educational background. So at Michigan State, I was a kinesiology major. It was pre-med. So I went in to become a chiropractor. So all of my non-curriculum based courses that I take, electives that I take in order to get into chiropractic school, it was organic chemistry. It was a lot of other sciences, stuff like that. My classmates were going into maybe the medical training field. Some were going into pre-med schools, stuff like that. So nothing that had anything to do with making beer or running a business.
That's how it works.
And then I got half of a master's in sports administration. When I was finishing playing, I started a MBA class or school down at University of Miami, Florida. So I got MBA down there. So that was kind of my basics of business style stuff. Of the 3 owners, it's myself, my wife Katie, and then Chris Morris. He went to Bedford, so grew up in the area. Teammate of mine at Michigan State, also played in the NFL for a number of years. He was going into the corporate finance world.
Okay.
So he is our CFO. I'm our CEO, and then Katie has turned into our HR. So she is the most funnest, if that's a word.
She's the real boss. It's okay.
Oh, no, absolutely. Oh, no. We admit she is the boss.
HR is always the boss.
All 3 of us. But in terms of kind of skills, leadership skills, partly it's my background with being in the NFL. It is you're dealing with grown men and a lot of alphas, a lot of strong personalities, and especially towards the end of my career. So I was a punter playing. Anybody doesn't know, punter comes on when everybody boos because offense failed, so I kicked the ball to the other team. But I was in any unit I was on, I was in charge of.
Yep.
So I took ownership. I was in charge of those other 10 men out in the field. So with that, of just kind of being able to talk to them, command them. Like anybody, some people deal with direct conflict or direct communication, whether that's polite or harsh or not, and other people's not as much.
Yep.
You know, it's like everybody. You can't yell at everybody. At the same time, you can't coddle everybody. Unfortunately, I'm probably more direct with most people, which
Would have never
this generation, it's some you have to pick and choose. That's why Katie's HR. But in order to realize how to communicate, how to talk to people, and also a lot of it's showing by example. There's only a couple jobs in our businesses that we run within Inside the Five that I have not done myself. So a lot of it's from my own experience, and this is like cleaning the toilets. I've done that numerous times. So it's something when trying to explain to somebody how something needs to be done, or if something was done right, letting them know like what they did correctly or not right, stuff like that. So especially with small businesses where depending on the day, the different hats that I put on, being able to relate, it's not that, hey, just do this. It's this is the why. This is why it needs to be done this way, stuff like that. So
very good. I think you hit on a lot of good points, especially one word could be just empathy. You're a very empathetic leader versus, the sympathy leadership. Like, well, I'm sorry for you, go do it. But in your case, you're like, no, I've done it for you. I feel your pain, but we can also work through it together. So do you find with the upcoming workforce that they want to be more involved with a leader that is, we'll say an over-explainer versus maybe a pointer, hey, go do this, go do this, go do this? What are you seeing from the community in terms of people who want to work?
I think it's a little bit mixed. So with us and the various kind of jobs that we have or businesses. So we are on the manufacturing, the distribution, the sales, and then the direct kind of to consumer side. So in terms of like our manufacturing side, our brewers and stuff, it's more once they're taught and like we'll have meetings of what beer's coming out, maybe going over different flavor profiles and stuff, and then let them run, let them go. It's not something that I need to kind of look over their shoulder and do. Part of that is our head brewer's been with us from the start.
Very cool.
So I know that's Nick Chapko. He's very much doesn't like attention. So Nicholas Chapko.
His photo's right here.
His photo's right there.
Address.
But he's been fantastic, and I think we balance each other out in terms of our flavor profiles and stuff. But like him, it's kind of going over stuff and then let him run with it. And we've had other fantastic brewers. Robbie Edwards right now, he was our head prep chef for a number of years. Now he's head brewer. But in terms of like that, our salespeople, completely different personalities than our a line cook versus a sous chef or a host or a server. So we've had some that have kind of career in industry, either career bartenders or kitchen. Others that are looking for a summer job or they're segue. This for a couple years before we've had a handful of people that are going to or going into nursing school. Yeah. So we know they're only going to be with us for a little bit. So I guess it depends on the position and the type of person, of how they're going to be, what direction they need. Like we still have some staff that have been with us for a couple years that are fantastic people, fantastic at their job, but you always need to kind of keep pointing them in the right direction. Yeah, versus some of our managers, it's this needs to be done, or they see it and they roll with it, and you don't need to babysit them. So.
Very cool.
So staffing wise, the restaurant industry is tough right now to keep staff hired, and any industry for that matter. I think you guys are leading the way in how to handle employees and the HR side of things. And I know Katie's not here, but what are you offering to your team members that's different from any other industry or restaurant, any other competitor, I'd say?
I mean, I guess I don't quite know in terms of, because my head's kind of in the sand of what other people offer in that aspect. I mean, this is more of a Katie question than me.
Sorry.
I think part of it, I mean, we have a great core staff at both locations. Obviously, we couldn't open up multiple locations. We couldn't do what we do without the staff that we have. Mm-hmm. So that's first and foremost. I mean, the people we have are always tremendous in what they do.
They are.
We're always looking to improve. Like anything, some people are just temporary. Unfortunately, some people don't work out. But that's in any business, any industry. I think outside of pay and perks and stuff like that is just the culture we're trying to create. And a lot of it is from the staff that we have. Katie always tells people when we first hire on, we want you to be happy. And we're honest with that. If you're not happy, let us know. And if you need to go somewhere else, find a new position, we'll help make that happen. Just because, I mean, life is short. A lot of people have a lot of stuff going on. So partly is that of making sure you want to come to work. If you're not happy with coming to work, it's going to make a bad environment for everybody. So if it's something that we can change, we can fix. I mean, a prime example is Robbie, who he started on the line. He worked his way up to be our head prep chef. Most people don't know that in Sylvania, the wood floor that we have where the bar is, that's above our prep kitchen. So you're in the basement all day. Wow. So it stinks. I mean, so he was looking for a change. He's fantastic. He was fantastic employee, fantastic person. So we didn't want to lose him. So we threw it out there, and he started from the bottom in the brewery and worked his way back up. So I think with everything, the people that we look for, fantastic people. A lot of stuff can be trained, can be coached, can be taught. Need to be a good person first. So I think that's one of the things that we look for.
So not to put you on a spot, but we're going to put you on the spot. So everybody has time, talent, and treasures, the 3 T's of life, right? So what would you say from leadership is either your greatest time, talent, or treasure that has helped you be successful in your career?
One, I'm stubborn, which I can be a pain in the butt.
I don't know how bleeping works on this thing.
Very good.
18 and above.
Which it has been fantastic. Depending if you ask kids or Katie, sometimes it's a pain. But I think that in terms of like me, I've always been very good at visualizing something and making it happen. Sometimes it's gotten me in over my head on stuff, but it's one of those of usually if I put my mind to it, if I'm going to do it. I tell my kids that if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. That kind of the good enough isn't good enough type of thing. So, I mean, sometimes I stress over the details on stuff, but also that kind of helps in terms of the finished product on the back end. So I think something like that in terms of just my determination on if I see something that needs to be done or something that I want to do, I do what is necessary to achieve it.
There you go. So stubbornness is a treasure. Everybody listening to this, if you have stubborn, it's a treasure. Embrace it. So
my 10-year-old is hearing this right now.
You're like, no way, Dad.
What you guys are so involved in the community side of things, and this being a chamber podcast, we talk about the community. What was that initial initiative to be so involved in the community? I mean, you were right away in Sylvania, and now you've grown in Northwest Ohio. How do you balance that, and what advice would you give to other businesses trying to balance community involvement without getting in over their head?
It started from us down in Miami. in terms of we were always involved in community outreach as either part of the team or on our own. And we did a few things with kind of youth and kids in the community up here when we could in the off season. So I think that was part of it, was we were always involved in stuff. I mean, my wife and I, we've been blessed. I mean, in terms of being able to play in the NFL for 9 years, play a game, and have fun. And so we've always wanted to give back in that aspect. So I think just naturally from the start, it was how can we be involved outside of ourselves and our own business. And part of that is we wanted to be part of the community with our breweries. The reason we chose downtown Sylvania was to be part of the community. We didn't want to just be another brewery, another bar, kind of in a strip, center somewhere on the street. We wanted to be that kind of community hangout, that community place. So from the get-go, that was kind of ingrained of what we want the DNA of our place to be. And from there, it's, I mean, as little as a neighbor opens up down the street in Sylvania, of just going, introducing ourselves, saying hi, and anything we can help out with, to being a part of the chamber and other community events that are going on. In order for communities to thrive, they need the community to be a part of it.
Well, I'm going to plug kind of the Fall Festival. And, our first year, and first or second year, I think it might have been the second year, we did the Saturday night. Kind of brand new to us as a chamber and a community of what to anticipate. And you dove right in, you had your tent up outside. You said you were going to make this easy on the community. They can walk up to the line, get a beer, and enjoy the Dora district. And you could see how involved you were with the community based on that line. I heard upwards of like a 2-hour wait for a beer, which I love. I think it's great. And you talked about your team and everybody doing a job. Your head chef, and at the time, and I were talking, and he said some customer was complaining about the wait, and he just turned and said, well, I'm the head chef, and I'm out here pouring beer right now. So we're all jumping into this and making it work right now, which is kudos to you and your team for knowing that head chef just knew where to go and needed to help. So you guys are extremely involved. You have a great reputation. You give back so much. So thank you for all you've done to Main Street, Sylvania, now all in Northwest Ohio and South.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, Sylvania, we want to be the cornerstone of the community.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we've done what we've done. That's why we're expanding as well to be that destination.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for the expansion and the look, the beer garden.
Let me know when it's done.
I asked Katie, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, I asked Katie if we could do a groundbreaking. She said, no, we'll do a ribbon cutting when it's ready to go, just because, there's been hurdles. So as a leader, we won't get into all the hurdles that you've had to face, but as a leader and one of the owners, how do you handle that to not have your team reflect your frustrations and still want to produce?
Oh, I'm not the person to ask. Of the three of us, I'm probably the most emotional in terms of wear it on my sleeve too much. Yeah. Chris is fairly level-headed. If there's somebody that needs a little kick in the pants, that's when usually he calls me. And Katie is the most calm and politically, she says the right thing. So, but yeah.
Okay.
That's why female leaders are better than male leaders.
I mean, partly it's.
I won't say anything.
I don't want to say we keep our staff in the dark. We let them know when we know certain things. Okay. I know they're constantly bugged about different stuff, or they'll hear something from somebody, and it's more of when it's concrete information and kind of actionable information, then we make sure that let everybody know, stuff like that. So that's partly why if you go and ask some of our staff, well, when this happened, when that happened, they don't know. It's just more of there's nothing to tell them, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, no.
I think what's huge there is back in my executive career, I was given good advice. It was let the people do their roles. And a lot of times leaders want to jump in and do those roles for them. We live right down the street from your location in Sylvania. And one thing I notice when we go out as a family is your team makes decisions. And I don't know who's the leader or who's not the leader in the room. So talk a little bit about that. Like, how do you all try to empower decisions so that way a table's dirty, I'm just going to go ahead and take care of that without the manager coming along saying, hey, you should clean that. So talk to that process. Like, what does that look like?
It's been a learning process. Katie, Chris, and myself are very much type A, where I think we've learned to back off a little bit. Partly it's through necessity in terms of having multiple locations. We can't be in one at all the time. And the other's the proper people. If you ask our bartenders, myself, so my exact role is I'm in charge of all the beer. Making sure that schedule-wise, we're on schedule, where different stuff's coming out when it needs to, product development, stuff like that. With that being said, there's still, like, our brewers or somebody will come to me, hey, I want to try this, or what do you think about that? So it's not me making all decisions with there. I'm also in charge of our salespeople. The bars I was very much in charge of at both locations. We do have bar managers, and from there it's trusting and passing off. In terms of, hey, here's the tools, or this is my thinking, this is how I went about doing things. Take it and use it, and then make it your own. And there's been times where they'll propose switching stuff out, bring something new, and then also, like, changing our menus up. We change our bar menus up right now twice a year. I let them do it. If they have any questions on how something should be, come ask. I'll be there for their kind of meeting of going over stuff, tasting new recipes, whatnot, and I'll give my input then. But I know I can't be like, this is what you're gonna do.
Yeah,
because at the same time, when there's ownership on their end, they appreciate it. They also enjoy it more. Of you come in and, hey, our new spring summer menus come out. This is a fantastic new cocktail I created. Blah blah blah. Versus the owner wants me to serve this to you.
Yeah.
So,
which I'll tell you a funny backstory. My wife, before we go out to eat, she likes to look at places. Well, she looks at Inside the Five to see what's on the flights. She is a flight guru, flight lover. So I'll say, hey, where do you want to go tonight? Well, they have this 5 new drinks. I'm like, I didn't even get a chance to look, dear. Like, she's at lunch planning out which flight she's going to get. So she'll be mad I said that. But that's cool. I mean, and there's many more like my wife that look to that. But I think it gives creditation to you guys in the head nod of being innovative and being creative. And in business, you either survive, grow, or die. Those are kind of your 3 options. So I love that you guys are in the growth mode. Like, we're going to make new flavors, empower the team to make decisions. So that's a fist bump right there. That's pretty awesome.
I like to hear, in terms of the flights, that's one of the, I guess, hallmarks, or cornerstones of with the beer. I loved going into a brewery and trying new stuff, trying stuff you couldn't find, on the store shelves or at your local bar. I also hated going to a brewery and wanting a flight, and it's, here's a flight of these 4 or 5 beers. And it's like, I don't want those. I want those over there, but I couldn't have them. So being able to create your own and try anything, and if you just want to try one, you can try one. If you want to try all of them, you can. Katie still remembers this and tells a story of a couple weeks after we were first open in Sylvania. There was a table of 4 older ladies, probably later 60s, early 70s. They tried every single beer that we had.
Wow. Very cool.
But it's like something you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
But like that, of kind of coming in, trying something new. And I always tell people there's the right craft beer for everybody. If you don't like craft beer, maybe you just haven't tried the right one. My mother-in-law she doesn't drink much anyways. If she does, usually it's a glass of white wine or something. So I'm always trying to create something that she'll like.
Stamp of approval.
Yeah. And usually she'll be like, yeah, it's okay. Okay.
Just out of curiosity, do you ever get more than an okay from her? Like, goes like,
oh, yeah.
That's good.
She
I've
loves
met them, and they are amazing. So,
Awesome.
yeah, I met them at your soft opening, so
Very cool.
They're great.
Very cool.
She hasn't yelled at me yet. Well, maybe once she did.
Yeah.
This is more of a creative question. You oversee the bar and the brewing. do you come up with the names?
Yes.
Okay, what is your favorite name so far that you've created for a beer?
So I have come up with probably about 90% of the names. Katie helps with some. Chris, when we first were opening, he gave me a list of like a dozen names or so. Then he'd tell me what beers to use them for or what they should go for. And then some of Katie's friends have helped. Usually the ones that we can't repeat on the show are the ones that Katie's friends have.
It's for the bleep.
Have done. I don't know. I mean, it's so one of our staples and the first beer we ever made back in Florida was Sunshine Sky. All the names have some backstory to them. Some are silly. Some actually are thought of or thought out pretty well. So Sunshine Sky, it's a lemon orange wheat. So that with one started making it down in Florida. With the sunshine comes into play, and then Sky, oldest daughter Skylar.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a reference to her on the can. It's a little girl in pigtails with a stuffed monkey, and she still has that stuffed
very
monkey.
cool.
Buddy.
That is.
Other ones, my youngest, so we do a barrel-aged beer every single year called Big Fat Boss Baby. As a little one, she was a chunker. So the bottles is a caricature of her, and we age it in bourbon barrels, so it is a very, very strong beer, anywhere from 11 to 15%. She owns the name. Oh, so we have a picture of just a cutout of that character that's in her room. If she's ever in the brewery, she'll go to people and be like, "That's my beer. You see my beer? Like, yeah, why aren't you drinking it? Why aren't you drinking Big Fat Boss Baby?"
Yeah.
But then my son, when he was really big into dinosaurs, we made a sour called Dino Sour. But now he's all over the place, so I'm gonna have to come up with a new one for him. So those are the ones that are kind of most near and dear. I mean, we have some that either making fun of myself, like Snap to the Face. So
I was curious.
yeah, that's a jalapeno lime cilantro IPA that happened to me in a game. It was a fake field goal gone wrong. That I think if you look on your phones, you can find it. Yeah, where I get hit in the face. Other ones, I guess it's apropos now. Stained Khakis. It's a brown ale, making fun of somebody who's no longer up north. The Devil Wears Hoodies. So this is Chris's name, Devil Wears Hoodies. It comes from one of his favorite movies, The Devil Wears Prada. Other ones are
that.
Mean Girls and Miss Congeniality.
Yes.
And a particular coach that used to play in the New England area. In terms of...
I love the connection between. I got a chunker at home. She's 9 months old, so I relate when you talk about chunky babies. That's awesome. You guys connect that to family too. I think that'd be a good question. How's the growth been as not only successful business owners but parents too?
Like anything, it's tough and it's challenging. Probably harder that Katie and I work together, or in the same kind of venture. I love it because honestly, there's some weeks that's the only time I see her is doing work. It's hard in terms of from a schedule standpoint.
Yeah.
And by that I mean there's some times where she has meetings or has to meet with certain people or at night. So it's making sure. I mean our schedules we always go over during the week and usually in the morning of what's going on that day. When somebody has to be home, when somebody needs to go to whatever. Our kids are very active in terms of like our oldest daughter. She's in travel soccer, travel softball, rec basketball. She takes guitar lessons, karate. She dropped voice for a little bit because she needed a break. But so almost every day of the week. Oh yeah, and also flag football in the rec. And that's just
a
one of
few
our
things
kids.
for a kid.
But we make it work. So in terms of that, it's just kind of, I mean, like, I'm very much of whatever it is, okay, I'll make it happen.
Very cool.
So now, I mean, especially with the field house being open, no longer doing 1 and 2 a.m. nights, fixing, building, putting stuff together. So definitely trying to make that when there's kids' activities and kids' time, let's do it. Let's get them to where they need to go. And then just trying to find that balance. For instance, there was a Saturday when there was no kids' activities. Put my phone down, did stuff around the house, just kind of hung out, not go in, stuff like that, of trying to, it never turns off for us, just because we have the day businesses and then obviously the night business as well. But again, at some point you just need to find a way to shut it off when you need to and then make it work when you need to do that too.
I'm glad you said that. A lot of owners, I find, they find things to do, and when they don't need to, so like you talked about that Saturday morning, just be at peace, that the phone's off, be okay. Most times it's nothing you can't undo, like I said, most times. So I'm glad you brought that point up and said that, that might help somebody right now who's work. Like, it's okay to be you for a couple minutes and enjoy your family. So that's awesome.
Yeah, like everything, it's learning and finding that balance. Usually for us or for me, it's when we start getting to that deadline. Then it's and Katie and I know and try to explain it to the kids of, okay, for this, 2 weeks or whatever, I might not be around at all. And to the point where one night, Katie brought the kids over and we had with dinner, so took a 45-minute break or whatever to be with the kids, and then knowing that, okay, once this is done, then let's gear back and try to make up and maybe not spend as much time, when like everything else, it's learning and never going to be perfect at it and always going to kind of learn from it and hopefully get better. But like our daughter's asking when she can work, when can she be in.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, my other kids, they'll recommend beers.
Yeah.
That should make.
Very cool.
That can be as simple as, hey, Dad, you need to make a boy beer and a girl beer, and the boy beer needs to be blue and the girl beer needs to be pink.
Simplicity.
Like that. Oh yeah.
Simplicity sells.
So it's like, how can we do that?
Yeah.
What should we put in there? And then I'll just have them start naming off in fruits and whatnot. And,
That's genius.
but until they tell their kindergarten teacher. So they ask kindergarten teacher, what Inside the Five beer did you drink this weekend?
Yeah.
They could be your best salesperson.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Very cool.
Question we're going to be asking everybody on the podcast. What does leadership mean to you?
Leading or be setting an example, leading by example. Also asking for help when you need it.
Yes.
That's a huge step.
It's okay. It's okay to say I need help. That's big.
Maybe hopefully Katie's not listening, not always being right.
I'm going to send this clip just to her and be like, it's recorded.
Anytime you say, I hope not, it's like MO for we're going to.
There's been a few times where I'd have to apologize about something. We're talking to somebody or a staff and realizing after the fact that I screwed up. And seeing that human side of people, of not that interaction, that personal relationship with somebody of, and obviously the more we've opened the locations, it's harder, or trying to get back to it in terms of making myself more visible in Sylvania and Perrysburg now. But the staff, especially the staff we've had already, know that they can come to me with something, that it's not, the owner or the boss, I can't say anything to them. And like, there's a few staff where come in, I haven't seen them for a week or two. Hey, how are your kids doing? They're in basketball or football or something like that, and kind of knowing more about them and not just seeing the personal side of things of people, not just their so-and-so employee.
I think, I'm not going to pick on the generations above us, but I think you couldn't take work, or you couldn't take home into work, and now it's gonna, like, you need to be human, and as a leader, it's okay to be human and have an off day. I think to your staff, it makes you more vulnerable, which is a huge thing, because you become a person and not everything's perfect, and they're the boss and life is great. You can show, no, not everything's great, but you can come to me at any time. So I love that, because I'm glad.
Very cool.
Dustin, do you have any questions for Brandon?
No, again, a couple key points. I love what you said about trust. You know, when we were talking about making this podcast, what are like the key things that we really want everybody to hear? Because we're all trying to figure it out in this world as business owners. And I think when you highlight how you trust your teams to make decisions and you're there to back them up, you could double, triple, quadruple down on that as a business owner, and it's going to pay massive dividends. So I think that was really cool for you to highlight that. Even with 3 locations, you guys are extremely busy. You're all over. You're running a family, having a family, running a business, but yet you still trust people with everything going on. So I say that was a great takeaway for today for everybody listening.
Tell people making mistakes is okay.
Yeah,
Just learn from them. Yeah, repeated mistakes is not, but
there's a difference.
But making mistakes is okay.
Yep, very cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Again, this is Through the Branches, the Sylvania Chamber podcast, and our first episode. So we're excited for all the listeners and viewers today. And thank you, Brandon, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
The new location's great, and we're definitely going to be there.
Or over here. Perfect.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Nice.
Good? I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No more coffee.
No more coffee.